Hello everybody! Today we're going to be introducing Grimport and showing you how to install it. So, what is Grimport? Grimport is a mix of Groovy and Java. It mainly takes from Groovy though. It is the most used language in e-commerce, so you will encounter it a lot if you're setting up an e-commerce using an application like Prestashop. Now, Grimport is not just a language that is used, but it also combines the crawler and the IDE, or Integrated Development Environment. Now, what is a crawler? Well, a crawler is what is going to mine the website, or sometimes the document, for information. It will go through the web pages and extract the relevant information, go through the information to process it and make sure that it's correct, and integrate it into something else. For example, a CSV file, a database, or another website. Additionally, while you can run the script from your computer, you can also run it from a server that is set up in the cloud. Now, to see what sets Grimport apart from other languages, let's look at some paradigms this language has. First of all, this programming language is distant. That means that a script can interact with many different systems. For example, we can launch the script on the computer or on the server, and it will use its resources to run some code, but also interact with an e-commerce website. For example, Prestashop, where it will continue to run and interact with. Effectively, that means we can execute some PHP code and have it run on the website. Null also has a different meaning in this language, representing the do nothing or do the default action option. We will see later why this is very useful. Additionally, this language is built to be robust. It's a functional language. We want it to be robust because that means we can avoid errors midway through executing hour-long programs. Otherwise, we would have to fix the code, rerun the program, and hope that the same error doesn't occur again hours later. Following that logic, that means that the language will attempt to avoid errors by, for example, casting variables. If you declare a variable to be a list and it receives a number or a text, then it will transform that variable to be a list with that number or text in its first position. Finally, this language also comes pre-installed with various APIs. For example, we can interface with ChatGPT to ask it something, or translate text using APIs with Google Translate or DeepL. Finally, there are also many tools and documentation to help you better program in Grimport, as well as various different functions that will push you to code in a way that makes it more robust. Let's move on to the installation. To do so, we have to go to ideatech.com. Go over to the Grimport tab, click on it, and then Grimport Crawler. If you're on Windows, you can click the big blue download button. Otherwise, if you're on Mac or Linux, you can follow the instructions on the page for your respective operating system. I'm on Windows, so I'll download the Windows version of Grimport Crawler. Here, we can see that Windows Defender has blocked the installation. This executable isn't malicious, so we can click more information, then the Execute Anyways button that shows up afterwards. Next, we'll get the language menu. This is the language that the installer will be in. Choose the one that you feel the most comfortable with. Then, accept the license, and now tick the box for developer mode, because we're going to be developing the script. If you have clients who need to install Grimport Crawler to modify some of the scripts, they can have this disabled, but since we're developing the script, let's enable it. Now, we just wait for the installation to complete. In the meantime, let's also go over the other applications we'll be using. Fiddler Classic to intercept HTTP requests. Ditto, because we'll be copy and pasting a lot of code. Notepad++, we'll need for XML and the like. Finally, XAMPP 7133. Make sure it's version 7.1.33 for a demo later on in the video. These applications are relatively easy to install, so I'll let you install those and come back when you've finished installing these applications. Now that our installation is complete, let's launch Grimport Crawler. I'm just going to call it Grimport from here on out. Now, here's one big characteristic of Grimport that sets it apart. There are 3 different scripts to a crawler. The initial script is the first bit of code that is run at the beginning of the script. This is where you have actions like log into the website. Then there's the 4-page script, which gets run every time a new page is loaded. Remember, our crawler is going to be exploring pages on a website. We'll write the code to extract information here. Lastly, we have the final script, which gets executed at the end of the script. This is usually where we will write our code to review the results. Now this 3-script logic isn't always necessary, so we can press the button here to transform it back to a traditional script, where the code is executed only once. Let's rapidly go over the rest of the Grimport interface. For more detailed information, please watch part 7 of this series. Moving to the left, we have the section where we have our coded scripts, and up here is a drop-down menu where the sites we've interfaced with are located. If you want to add a website, go down here, click this button, and enter the relevant information. You can interface 3 different ways, seen here. Scripts that don't belong to any website end up in local scripts. Otherwise, they're in their respective pages. Now, if I want to test my script on a page, I can go to the aptly named Test tab and enter a page here. What will happen is that the code will be executed. First the initial, then the 4-page gets executed only on this web page, then the final gets executed. This is a good way to test if the code works on a web page before executing it on the whole website. Up here, we have buttons to launch the script. This is normal launch. This is debug mode. This is to modify the launch option. These are debug controls. The left one is to go step by step. The right one is to stop the debug. This is a script launcher to quickly launch scripts and generate script files. We can also program the script to run at regular intervals of time. These are debug options. This opens the Grimport folder, and this is to import a Grimport file. Here on the right, we have some more tabs. This is the options tabs to configure my crawler, the robot that will go through the website, and this tab is a quicker way to modify variables. If I go back to the scripts tab and write WIZ variable next to a variable, then I can quickly modify it in the Assistant tab. Finally, there's the Cloud tab for running the script from the cloud. That completes the overview of the interface. Again, we'll cover this interface in more detail in part 7. Let's move on to installing Prestashop now. For this series, I'll use version 1.7.8.6. Now we open the zip. Here you can see an HTML file that details how to install Prestashop. If you prefer reading to listening, you can open that file and follow its instructions. Let's configure XAMPP. Normally it's installed to XAMPP right here. Scroll down here and right click on each of the executables and select Run as Administrator. Now open XAMPP and click config. Click php.ini. Here, you can hold Ctrl F and type extension equals php_bz2 and hit enter. That should bring you to the list of extensions. Now, we need to activate some of these extensions. Some of them may be activated. You can tell by the fact that they don't have a semicolon at the beginning. But, if they're not, remove the semicolon for the following extensions: curl, intl, OpenSSL, and SOAP. Now we can save the file and close the notepad. Start Apache and MySQL, and now go back to the File Explorer. Go to htdocs and create a new file. For clarity, I'll call it Prestashop 1786. Go back to your Downloads folder and right-click on the zip file that we downloaded. Click Extract Files, and in the destination file, write the path file to the new folder that we created in htdocs. I called it Prestashop 1786, so that's where I'm extracting my files to. Now, go to your favorite web browser and type localhost / whatever you called your file. Since I called it Prestashop 1786, that's what I'll write in. Once you're done, you should have something that looks like this. Here, we can click no because we intentionally downloaded an older version of Prestashop, and now it's going to install Prestashop. We just have to wait until it's fully installed. Here, just click Next, accept the terms and conditions, and here, since we're just doing a demo, it doesn't really matter what we type here. Just remember what you put in the email address. We'll use that to log in later. And we're good. Now for these configs, we'll need a database name. To do that, test the database connection by clicking down here. Since we haven't created this database, it will prompt us to create one. Click to create, retest, and now that it's good, we can click Next now. Now we wait for the installation to finish, and I'll meet you back once the installation is finished. Once the installation is finished, you have to go back to the File Explorer and delete the install folder. Now, you can access the back office. Go to Modules, then Module Catalog, and click Install a Module. Import a zip file. You can get the WordPress on Store Interfacer. I have my own here. And now, you can wait for it to be installed. Click Configure. Click Interface this website with Grimport. Open the file. And now, Grimport is associated with the website. Alternatively, copy this link, go to Grimport, click Interface your website, and fill out the details. That concludes the first part of this series.